Hi fellow bibliophiles, and welcome back to Blatantly Bookish. I'm Marissa, and today I have a pretty substantial book haul for you guys. I saw in my local town today a sign that said they were having a book sale at the library. Not the local library that's only a few minutes walk from me, but the one that's a few minutes drive from me. Still very close and very worth going to. So I went and I was blown away by their selection. They had 2 rooms full of books, and I actually took some footage that I will show you. They had a pretty impressive selection, and I had so much fun. Luckily for my already overflowing bookshelves, I got to this sale right when it was about to close. There was only half an hour to browse, and I also found out that they only took cash, which I carry very little cash on me at any given time. So limitations sometimes are good things, and in this case they definitely were, but I still got a lot of great books for you. They're sitting in my lap and I'm about to show them to you. They are a combination of books that just piqued my interest as I was looking around these gorgeous rooms full of books, and a combination of that and also books that I have already read and just loved so much that I want to own them and have them in case I ever want to read them again, or just kind of as companions on my shelves. That's weird, but that is a thing I do. Anyway, onto the books. The first book that I picked up is Amitav Ghosh's Sea of Poppies. The back of this book intrigued me so much that I had to pick it up, even though it is the first in an epic trilogy, and I don't really like to pick up books that I know will lead me to read others in a series. I have a lot of issues with series, and I'm sure I've even made a video on that at some point, but this book sounds really intriguing. This book is about a ship voyage across the Indian Ocean just before the outbreak of the Opium Wars in China, and it's about Indians and Westerners aboard this ship, and it sounds like it's going to be a lot about colonialization. It's marketed as an epic, and there's even a quote on the back that says, "A storm-tossed adventure worthy of Sir Walter Scott." So I am very excited for this book. It sounds like it'll have a lot of historical background, which is something that intrigues me. So I would like to pick this up. The next book I picked up is one that I have read before, and that is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. And I read this book on ebook a while ago. I don't own the ebook. It was through an app, and I fell in love with this book. It is so lovely and heartwarming. It's about a lonely book salesman who has a rare copy of Poe stolen from him. And the story devolves from there. It's all about him opening his eyes to the community around him and really finding himself and situating himself in the community. It's a heartbreaking, beautiful, sentimental story, and I just loved it so much. I want to read it again now, just talking about it to you. The next book I have is Kurt Vonnegut's Welcome to the Monkey House. This is actually a collection of some of his shorter works that have been featured in magazines and such in the past, but it's nice to have them all in one place, and it's nice to have some more Kurt Vonnegut to pick up. I'm really interested in seeing how his shorter works are different than his novels. Kurt Vonnegut, I know, spent a lot of time studying story arcs and the arc of different characters over the course of a story and of a novel, and so it'll be really interesting to see what he does with something with much less space. I mean, a short story is just so different. I'm interested in seeing if he uses the same characters that he's always used, if Kilgore Trout will appear in this, and if he has a just very different character arc for his characters in this book. I am definitely due to read some more Kurt Vonnegut. I will probably read Breakfast of Champions first, which is somewhere on this shelf right here, but after this one, perhaps I'll pick up Welcome to the Monkey House. I also picked up Salvaged the Bones by Jesmyn Ward. Jesmyn Ward is a fantastic author. I have pretty much loved every book I've read by her thus far. Salvaged the Bones was the first that I read by her, and I really wanted to own it, not to mention this is an absolutely pristine copy. This book is all about a family right before Hurricane Katrina. It takes place in Mississippi and follows the character of Esh, who is the only female in her family. Her mother is not with them, and her father is alcoholic. She doesn't really have a mother figure to turn to, and she kind of needs one at this point in her life, though she has a bunch of brothers, and even though their family is a bit rough, they are fiercely loyal to each other, and it's really interesting to see them prepare for Hurricane Katrina. I also found Everything Under by Daisy Johnson. This is a fairly new release, and this book looks brand new. I don't quite know exactly what this book is about, so I will read the back for you, but I have heard wonderful things about this author, that she is a very young and upcoming author, and that this book is absolutely brilliant. So it says, Gretel grew up on a houseboat with her mother, wandering the canals and speaking a private language of their own invention, until the day she disappeared and abandoned Gretel to foster care. Now a lexicographer, Gretel has tried to move on, but an unexpected phone call brings the past rushing back. To find her mother, Gretel must face buried memories of a fateful winter when they sheltered a runaway boy and were stalked by an ominous creature lurking in the water. An electrifying reimagining of a classical myth. Everything Under explores fate and free will, gender fluidity, and fractured family relationships in a daring, entrancing story that will leave you unstrung. It seems like a really interesting book, and I cannot wait to read it. I am so glad I found this one. The next book I have is Delicate Edible Birds. This is a short story collection that I forget which booktuber mentioned on their channel, but they spoke about it so passionately that I really wanted to read it. They said it was their favorite short story collection of all time. And so I wanted to check it out. There's no real back to this one. It's just a series of very positive quotes. So I don't really know much more than that about it, but sometimes I think that that's okay. The next book I found is Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters. I read this one this past year, and I absolutely loved it. I really wanted to own a copy of my own, and now I am so glad that I do. This book is probably my favorite of all of the Sarah Waters books. I actually just finished a different Sarah Waters book, Affinity, which I will probably talk about in another video. I should really make a video about all of the Sarah Waters books I've read at some point. But this one is definitely my favorite. It's all about the seedy underbelly of Victorian society, and it's a coming-of-age story. So, particularly poignant and wonderful book. I like all of Sarah Waters' work that I've read so far, but this one, like I said, is by far the best. And last but not least, I picked up Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt, and it's true crime, which is very rare for me. But that being said, the back really intrigued me, as did the front cover, I have to say. But anyway, genteel society ladies who compare notes on their husbands' suicides, a hilariously foul-mouthed black drag queen, a voodoo priestess who works her roots in the graveyard at midnight, a morose inventor who owns a bottle of poison powerful enough to kill everyone in town, a prominent antiques dealer who hangs a Nazi flag from his window to disrupt the shooting of a movie, and a redneck gigolo whose conquests describe him as a walking streak of sex. These are some of the real residents of Savannah, Georgia, a city whose eccentric mores are unerringly observed, and whose dirty linen is gleefully aired in this utterly irresistible book, at once a true crime murder story and a hugely entertaining and deliciously perverse travelogue. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil is as bracing and intoxicating as half a dozen mint juleps. I actually went to Savannah, Georgia a long time ago on a trip with my family, so it would be interesting to see what I recognize from this book in my memories and what is completely foreign to me. I'm sure I'll be doing a lot of research as I read it. So those were all the books that I picked up. I think it's a pretty good haul, and I was very pleased that I found so many really interesting books, both unread and books that I've read and loved, and I'm so happy that I now own. Have you guys read any of these books? If so, what did you think of them? And yeah, that's all I really have to say. I kind of want to go and start reading at this point in time. I don't think I can start any of these. I have a few half-read books that I'm working on at the moment, but I'm sure you'll hear all about them in my April wrap-up soon. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you in another video. Bye!